Welcome back, my friends. Today, we're going to explore a topic on the minds of many a gardener throughout the year, and that is it possible to grow a pest-free garden organically? Ah, yes, as spring inches closer with each passing day, and the thoughts of sweet ripening fruits, homegrown vine-ripened tomatoes, and a vast array of colorful, nutritious vegetables fill our heads. With our determination to make this year one of success and abundance in the garden, we prepare day by day, working with the land, planting new food-producing trees, and starting seeds. Everything is looking up. The garden design is coming together, and just before we're about to enjoy our first harvest of the season, if you've ever experienced a crop loss due to garden pests or heard horror stories from other gardeners and farmers that prevented you from even wanting to get started, then stay tuned, because we're going to dive deep into this topic and get to the bottom of the matter right here on Plant Abundance. So let's jump on into it, guys, and acknowledge the fact that we're not alone on this planet. There are millions of other species of animals, insects, and plant life, and perhaps up to 1 trillion species of microbes, all of whom play an important role in the overall balance of the entire ecosystem which we are all a part of. I feel this reality can help to give us as gardeners, and human beings for that matter, a bigger picture of what our role is as part of this natural system so that we can get the most out of this life in terms of health, happiness, success, and abundance, which rolls over into our gardens, whether it be a food forest or a simple veggie plot. Wow, I got a little deep there, didn't I? Well, what I mean to say is that we're all part of nature, and if we can find ways to work with it rather than against it, then we will surely reap the many rewards of that behavior and style of thinking. So depending on where you're located throughout the world, these potential quote-unquote pests that can affect your harvest are going to vary. So rather than give you a long list of cause and solution scenarios, I'm going to just focus on a few of the most common issues I hear about or have experienced. And then hopefully, if there are other particular issues that you're having in your garden, this video can serve as a baseline approach or philosophy that can help you discover on your own ways to mitigate or bring back into balance your garden so that you can have continued, sustainable success moving forward. So let's start by talking insect damage. Common culprits: aphids, pillbugs, whitefly, Japanese beetle, cabbage worm, cabbage looper, leaf miner, squash vine borer, potato beetle, slugs, snails. I think you get the point. An infestation of any of these or other harmful insects causing damage to your crops can not only be disheartening, it can be downright frustrating. So what can you do? Where do you start? Well, the first step, an obvious one, is to determine what insect is causing the damage. It's time to spend some time out in the garden, not only during the day, but in the evening, and bring a flashlight, as some of these insects are nocturnal, and see what you can find. If you can take a picture of the insects you see, I highly suggest doing so. It will make it much easier for you or a gardening professional to identify what it is. I say gardening professional because you can take your pictures to a local garden nursery, and I suggest going to a smaller business rather than a big box store operation, as the smaller shops usually have at least one expert that can help you find organic solutions to your problem. Another option would be to simply go online and do the research. There are plenty of websites and YouTube videos out there that can help assist you and give you the answers or ideas you seek, so you can remedy the issue ASAP. So my two-pronged approach to dealing with potentially harmful insects goes something like this. Number 1, avoid monocropping. Instead, practice polyculture. Monocropping is growing the same crop year after year in the same land without practicing crop rotation and without interplanting the space with other plant species. This practice encourages insect infestations and usually relies on chemical treatments to get the upper hand on the issue, which in turn leads to a host of imbalances in the garden, the plant's health, and the soil. Polyculture, on the other hand, promotes the same diversity patterns found in natural ecosystems. Through intercropping, cover cropping, integrating aquaculture, and practicing permaculture principles, a natural balance can be struck in the garden. Most pests are opportunists with a strong preference towards a specific crop. By interplanting in the same plot, we're able to disrupt their damaging patterns by attracting in natural enemies or other insect predators through strategic plant selection. Also, by breaking up the monotony of traditional gardens, we make the space less identifiable as a target for pests, as it better resembles other natural ecosystems. So if you're not yet practicing polyculture in your landscape, I highly suggest you look into it, as it can and has been for myself one of the most successful strategies for reducing insect pest populations. Number 2. If an issue still presents itself, I'm a big fan of manual control methods, such as blasting away dense populations of insects like the aphid with water, removing insects by hand like snails. At night's the best time for that. And lastly, on rare occasions, I have applied soapy water mixtures using products like Dr. Bronner's peppermint soap, which is effective on soft-bodied insects. I've also used a neem oil water mixture, another organic method that works on several types of pests and mildew, by the way. Just be sure if using these techniques that you're not creating collateral damage by spraying at the wrong time when beneficial insects are present, or by creating an overspray situation where some of the product drifts off to surrounding areas of the garden you did not intend to treat. And finally, when all else fails, I have had to resort to other organic products like Sluggo Plus in the past, in my case to deal with the influx of pill bugs that came into the garden after many loads of wood chips were introduced. Sometimes even beneficial practices like mulching can cause a temporary influx of harmful insects. With that being said, I wouldn't have done anything different as far as wood chips is concerned. The benefits the garden has gained has far outweighed any of the problems. So in summary, to this point in time, I've been able to manage and balance out all the harmful insect populations in my backyard food forest garden using these techniques. And every year I've experienced a decrease in the inputs required by me as part of nature to maintain a healthy, balanced ecosystem. And you can do the same. Next, let's talk about garden pests in the form of critters and other wildlife. You know, birds, squirrels, gophers, rabbits, deer, mice, rats, that sort of thing. Well, just like with the insects, we need to first determine what it is we're dealing with. Usually, in most cases, it's going to be pretty obvious, or we've actually observed firsthand what's coming into our space. If you're unable to figure it out, I'd suggest installing something like a trail cam, which has motion detecting sensors in a couple different areas throughout the garden. After a few days, you can review the footage and see what's been going on. Footprints, holes in the ground, plant remnants are also great indicators to what's coming in and causing damage. I'll now share with you my organic, nip-it-in-the-bud strategies and ideas so that you too can have a critter-free garden, or at least mostly controlled. I still get some damage and thievery happening from time to time. The theme of this area discussion is where there's a will, there's a way. You can outsmart the critters and protect your gardening investment using a little ingenuity and perhaps some high-tech solutions. For sake of time, I'm just going to simply name a critter and briefly state a possible solution. There will be other critters and other solutions. I just want to demonstrate for you that there are easy ways to get the upper hand if the growing gets tough. Birds. Keep fruit trees pruned lower if possible, as birds tend to want to stay quite high off the ground out of reach of people. Provide water such as a bird bath in or near your garden. Birds are thirsty and will eat water-rich foods to get a drink. Use flash tape. Hang CDs from the limbs of your trees to create the appearance of movement throughout the garden. Build a scarecrow. If all else fails, you can invest in some bird netting to protect your most susceptible plants. Gophers. Grow in raised beds and line the bottom with a metal mesh. Get an outdoor garden cat. Build a nesting box for barn owls, a natural predator of the gopher. If all else fails, set up some cinch traps. Mice, rats. No food scrap compost piles. Instead, start a worm bin for food scraps. Keep your garden clean of fallen fruit. Eliminate brush piles. Keep the surrounding areas clean and organized. Get an outdoor cat. Wooden snap traps work. Poison can leave toxic caches throughout your landscape and potentially harm other wildlife and pets. Pellet gun. Large farms hire professional shooters. Deer. Grow a dense border or thick hedge around your property or garden. Get a good dog that loves being outside a lot. Install a motion-activated sprinkler. Build a traditional fence around your garden or try a fishing line fence. Deer won't see the fishing line and become startled and run away when they walk into it. Install wind chimes. And lastly, try some of the many deer repellents available on the market. Squirrels. Do not plant trees too close to the fence or allow limbs to touch fence lines. Fence lines are like highways for squirrels. Once again, get a good dog who enjoys being outside. Pray. It can't hurt. Rabbits. Build a 2-foot-high chicken wire fence around your entire garden. Try dusting the affected areas and plants in your garden with cayenne pepper. Again, get a good outdoor cat. And also install a motion-activated sprinkler. So there you have it, just a few ideas to run with. Remember, in the end, a healthy, balanced garden will have some loss due to what we call pest, but with the proper polyculture layout, some manual controls, perhaps a couple good loyal pets, and a will to succeed, any issues will be minimized to the point of acceptance, and with that, we all win. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you found it helpful or entertaining in some way. If you did, we sure do appreciate it when you give the video a rating. And be sure to comment below. It helps the channel to grow. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. New uploads every week, sometimes every day. And we're always updating you on all the different projects growing on around here. And so with that, have yourself a great rest of the day. Until next time, this is Dan from plantabundance.com. Take care. I'll be talking to you again soon.